think that I can look at a single game this season where he himself has been the difference maker. To me,
yeah, that's just ridiculous.
To me,
okay. It entirely depends on what hype you're reading. If you're reading Twitter, yeah.
You said he was better than Arch Manning.
I think he is better than Arch Manning.
He is not even close. And you said, look at the stats. Well, let's look at the stats now.
Sports are nothing but pain.
Not for me. I had a great weekend. The Browns didn't play. Ohio State was rolling. I was happy for an entire Saturday and Sunday.
I had to watch, very conflicted, as Aiden Hutchinson chased down J.J. McCarthy. And I thought to myself, this is not any fun for anybody. This is the Rivalry Podcast. My name is Jace. That's Mr. JP.
What up?
Michigan and Ohio State, the greatest rivalry, not just in college football, but in all of sports. From River Radio Ministries and presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. This is a podcast, and that's exactly it. It's about college football, but more specifically, all eyes on that last Saturday in November. Week by week, we go through the game, analyze, give commentary, and kind of have that side eye on, well, what does this game against Purdue mean for playing Ohio State and vice versa? It's what makes this rivalry unlike any other. Rivalpod.com and wherever you social media at RivalPod. You can subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now. We really appreciate that. Takes 20 seconds, gets us in front of more eyes and ears. The algorithm loves it. Thank you for doing that.
Now, normally to kick off the podcast, we do a little thing called Wheel Route, and we've kind of varied from that a little bit this year. But if you listened from the start of the season, we gave some pretty bold predictions for who we thought our conference champions were going to end up being. And boy, oh man, watching back, idiots, all of us.
The only thing that makes me feel good about this is the fact that, all the national media were just as wrong, at least nearly as wrong as we were, because that's the beauty of college football is that you think you have an idea. And then your number one preseason overall team and national title favorite loses to UCLA, right? I mean, it's crazy how this stuff happens. So with college football playoff rankings coming out this week, we record Monday mornings. Those rankings are out Tuesday night. We thought it might be worthwhile at the beginning of November to go back, do a little status check on our
see how well we know ball
on our conference champions and group of 5 champion, and make some adjustments ahead of the new college football playoff rankings. Let's start in the Big Ten, where I made a decision.
You made a choice
and took Penn State along with many other.
I thought they would be good. I'm not going to make fun of you too much because I did say they should.
Who did you take?
Oh, I took the Buckeyes.
Oh, that's right.
I took the Buckeyes, but I did say in that I went back and watched it and cringed a lot at some of the things that I said.
Yeah, well, because we didn't know anything.
We didn't know a lot, and we still don't.
Let me ask you this, since you did pick Ohio State, are you keeping Ohio State as your Big Ten pick?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. I'm going to take Indiana. One, because absolutely not will I take Ohio State in this. Number two.
Well, that just told me that you would if you were being smart about it.
Number two, we've talked a lot about, and we'll get more into this, we've talked about how I have not felt this year like there has been unbeatable death machine. Ohio State and Indiana, I'm ready to declare them unbeatable death machine territory. I mean, like those two teams. Obviously, Michigan still got their goals in front of them. They can still make the Big Ten championship game. Iowa can still get in. USC can still get in. But those are obviously the two front runners, and so I don't think there's a bad choice there. How about the Big 12? Because back in the preseason, I took Arizona State.
That's also same.
Which I think, the Big 12 is chaotic. It's beautifully chaotic because you just never know. Tried to lean in to what happened last year as if that was some indication. It hasn't been. I feel like at this point for the Big 12 for me, I'm leaning BYU.
Yeah, that's safe.
I mean, there's 2 or 3 teams I would feel okay taking. Texas Tech obviously being another one there, but I feel like BYU is just on a roll right now, and I like where they're headed.
Yeah, this weekend's going to tell you a lot because BYU plays Texas Tech. Yep. So I mean, to me, the winner of that game is the winner of the Big 12.
And I mean, you may end up seeing them play each other again in the championship too, and then you get some of the narrative about, well, can you beat a team twice in a row, especially twice in the span of a month? We'll see. I don't want to talk about the SEC.
Who do you pick?
Because if you're new to the podcast, back in the preseason and for many weeks thereafter, I made some pretty bold claim stakes in LSU.
Yeah.
I felt like they were a dark horse candidate. I knew, obviously the Texas and the Alabamas were the favorites there. Mm-hmm. I felt like with a veteran quarterback in Nussmeier and a defense, I felt like LSU had everything in front of them to put together. And then here we are, and they don't have a head coach. So
things aged well.
We're gonna pivot. I would say at this point, I mean, A&M has to be the clear favorite here, right? I mean, I would accept Alabama as another answer there as well, but I feel like Texas A&M is just they're having a special season here. It seems like.
I said Texas to start the season was going to be my SEC winner, and they're starting to kind of come together. They had a great game this past weekend. Arch really looked pretty good, to be honest.
Are you sticking with that?
No.
Okay, correct. No, you aren't.
No, I am not. I'm going to go Bama. I'm going to go Alabama. I just think those guys since week one seem to have figured it out. They had a couple of close games here and there, and I know there's a ton of people that always get on the SEC for the SEC bias,
which is fair.
Is valid, but that conference is pretty dang good as well. There are some dogs in that conference, and their schedule has also not been easy. Yeah. And so I'm going with Bama. Well, I like Ty Simpson. I think they're starting to kind of click.
Well, and especially after the way we and everybody else buried them after week one. And again, this is, I'll just mention, and I think I may have mentioned this last week or a couple weeks ago, Alabama's real interesting because they're still going to get in the playoff if they drop another game here. But if you end up in a 9-3 scenario, you drop a game between now and the Iron Bowl and then you get upset by Auburn, that Auburn loss is going to look bad. That Florida State loss looks worse by the week. And so Alabama, they're probably pretty safe for the playoff at this point, unless. And so that's the beauty of college football. The ACC, I'm not even mad about this one. I took Clemson.
Yeah.
But I will also say a lot of the narrative around Clemson was this is a national championship team. This team is built for a deep playoff run. And I explicitly said, I'm going to take them for the ACC, but I don't like it. And I don't buy that they are a deep playoff team. Clearly, at least half of that was right. But Clemson certainly not winning the ACC or the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl at this point.
So who are you taking for it then? Do you have a replacement?
I think Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is probably
Duke?
Yeah.
I could get down with that.
I think Georgia Tech is probably a bit overrated. Like, is Georgia Tech really, should they have been the 8th ranked team in the country? Probably not, but up until this weekend, I mean, they'd won all their games at that point. And so with Miami dropping another game, Miami.
Okay, kind of an insane end to that though. So I was walking out of the Horseshoe. This is a very, it relates to it, but it's a little bit of tangent. I was getting ready to walk out of the shoe on Saturday, and I always try to take my time just because traffic and everything. So I wasn't in a crazy rush. I sat down and I scoped through some of the games that had already ended, saw that the SMU Miami game was close. And the way that the Horseshoe press box is kind of set up is they almost have like a small little cafeteria that's just surrounded by TVs.
A little common area.
And I saw a handful of media personnel sitting there watching. And so I sat down and joined for like the next 20 minutes and watched the end of that game. And I don't remember the exact scenario because I was still just adrenaline coming down from Penn State. But the penalty that they called for roughing the passer or whatever that ended up setting up SMU to kick the game-tying field goal was just bananas all around. I don't think I've ever seen a game end like that.
You know what, though? It couldn't have happened to a team that's gotten more breaks from officiating than the Miami Hurricanes. But all that to say, with Miami dropping a second game, I feel like Georgia Tech's still in good position here.
Yeah, I don't blame that. Who'd you pick for the G5?
Well, who'd you pick for the ACC?
Oh, I had Clemson.
Who do you have now, though?
Oh, I'm going to probably go Duke.
Okay. I should have just moved on to the G5.
You should have. I mean, it won't matter. Whoever makes it out of that's done.
The G5 I feel like is fascinating because I feel like last year, there was Boise State and who else? I mean, was it Army that was like kind of in that until November? I feel like there were only like 2, maybe 3 really solid teams that had a legitimate chance that we were all kind of keeping an eye on. For the G5 right now, I mean, there's probably close to a half dozen that are trying to get in there. I mean, I know Navy dropped a game, but Navy's been part, at least I'll say part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Navy's been part of that. North Texas, James Madison, UNLV for a while,
How
Boise
amazing.
for a while. I mean, Memphis, South Florida. This is the one thing I will give the expanded playoff is that is a lot of fun. I took UNLV originally. UNLV's dropped a couple games since then. They're not going to be. I'm going to go with the obvious one would be Memphis, and I'm not doing that one. The other obvious one would be South Florida, and I won't do that one either. I love the idea of James Madison slipping their way in because here's my thought. My thought is that Indiana drops a game somewhere.
To Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship would be my preference.
I would not prefer that, but I'm just saying Indiana drops a game somewhere and ends up as the 5 seed and gets to host James Madison and Kurt Signetti gets the storylines. Tell me the committee wouldn't purposely set it up that way. That's
who I'm picking.
Let's
I had
go.
Boise in mind to start the year, and they've fallen off. They've dropped 3 games. They're not going anywhere. And so my next up, you know me, I'm going off just vibes. So give me James Madison, a Kurt Signetti playoff matchup. It is just peak to me.
None of these are going to happen, by the way.
No, not even a little bit.
All right, let's talk about why you're actually here. It's Michigan and Ohio State. Let's start with Michigan, since Michigan is going on a bye week right now. This game against Purdue was an antacid fest. Like, there's no coach or team is ever going to say, yeah, we overlooked an opponent. If you look up overlooking an opponent on Google right now, you will see Michigan 21, Purdue 16.
When I saw Devin Mockabee was out for that game, I thought, well, is this even going to be worth watching? And it absolutely was. I was having a great time until I wasn't.
It was not worth watching. That is a rough game, and it is going to be. It's difficult to analyze in some ways. In some ways, it's not. So I'll say this: I'm not suggesting that the effort wasn't there, but the execution certainly wasn't for a large majority of this game. And that's not true across the board. Obviously, we'll get into it, but kind of just overall, I mean, Jordan Marshall played incredibly well. Right? The defense, I actually thought, played incredibly well. There were moments, and I've got some reasons why, but I thought overall those 2 places were really good. There were just a lot of areas where I just went, man, I expected more at this point in the year. So let's start on the offense. On the offense, I would say I don't want to dive too much into it because I feel like it's overblown, but I do think it's not rocket science to say that Bryce Underwood looked just very skittish in this game. A happy feet in the pocket, was abandoning clean pockets, missed open guys. You would see him kind of make one read and just fire it, and if it wasn't there, it wasn't there. Some of that, though, I will. Again, I feel like this is just so overblown, but I would say this is part of what I called, and it's not a new analogy, but part of the roller coaster of starting an 18-year-old quarterback is you're going to end up with these ups and downs, and your stomach's going to be inside out for a little bit there, and then you'll be cruising, and that's what the roller coaster is like. And so I think the concerning thing is that he doesn't. In this particular game, I'll put it this way, in this particular game, it almost looked like regression from where he started the year. And I don't know what's behind that, but I do think, and I'll end with this on Bryce, because I fully believe in this kid. I think the bye week hits at a really good time for him because you get a chance to settle him down and figure it out, because you've got 2 more very winnable games on the schedule, but not if you put out an effort like that. So that's what I'll say on the quarterback. Jordan Marshall obviously looked fantastic. The concern for Michigan is going to be that Justice Haynes looks like he's done for the year. Now, they are talking as though this foot surgery that he's about to have or just had or whatever it is, that, well, we don't know how quickly that'll heal, and there's speculation that they might get him back this season. Does that mean for Ohio State? Does that mean in a playoff scenario, if Michigan win a couple rounds, does that mean a bowl game? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate further than just to say I don't expect that we're going to see Justice Haynes in the regular season at least.
No, I think that's fair. And I think the only way you probably do see him again, because there's that weird thing, you and I actually talked about it last week, is I mean, I felt like it was pretty common sense after this season Justice Haynes was going to go to the league. I mean, the performance that he had all season long felt like it was ramping up to that. He had been the best running back in the nation. It just seemed like common sense. But now I'm kind of looking at it going, well, how much is this injury going to hurt his draft stock? Is he going to come back next year? I still doubt it, but I start taking those things into effect because a lot of people were on Twitter, on social media saying, well, he'll be out, but he's going to come back for the game. And if I'm him and I'm trying to go to the league, you've seen that trend in college football where guys aren't going to risk injury if they know where their destination's going to be.
Well, and they also shouldn't.
No,
right?
I mean,
there's a difference between, and this was the conversation last year, where people tried to say, well, Colston Loveland packed it in. Well, Will Johnson packed it in. I don't buy that. I still don't buy that. I think that there is a reality though, and I understand it. And really it's the right decision to go for Will Johnson or Colston Loveland to go, well, if I've got an injury and I'm not fully healthy, and there's a chance that I'm going to consider that still injured but could play. If I'm still injured but could play, but the chance of re-aggravating that injury is, of course you shouldn't be playing in that game. Like it is the most important game on the schedule. You should not be risking your future for that.
Yeah.
And so for Justice Haynes, would it be great if he was able to come back? Of course. I don't expect that. And so that's the really disappointing news. The good news for Michigan is that Jordan Marshall looked fantastic. Even the backups there. So Micah Kalapana's been out. I don't know if he's officially out for the season, but he's not. He's hardly played. But Jasper Parker, Bryson Cudzall, they have both come in and been very serviceable backs. And so if it is a Marshall-led team, which it looks like, and it's going to be some rotation of those two guys, Michigan has a really deep running back room. And that's something that Michigan's going to have to rely on as they still continue with kind of that roller coaster with Bryce. Offensive line played very well. That was great. They've continued to look really good. There's not much to say about the wide receivers or the tight ends because, again, there just wasn't a lot of the passing game there. I felt like the drops were a problem again. I know a lot of emphasis was put on, well, Bryce didn't throw a good ball here and Bryce didn't throw a good ball there. I'm of the mindset if it hits you in the hands or goes through your hands, you got to catch it. I don't care if it's a perfectly thrown ball or you had to jump for it or there was one on the sideline that McCulley I thought should have had. There's one in the end zone that I thought he should have had. McCulley's also injured, and so hopefully that's fixed over the bye week. My biggest concern, I would say at this point, is less on Bryce, and my biggest overall concern is the injuries.
Yeah,
and this kind of takes
Barnum went out, right?
Well, and this kind of, I was going to say, this kind of takes us into the defense too. Of you were missing Jimmy Rolder, you were missing Cole Sullivan, Jayshawn Barham played 30 seconds and got hurt. I mean, if those injuries, in addition to McCulley, are more than fixable in the bye week, I mean, that's a tough ask because can you get through Northwestern? Yeah. Can you get through Maryland? Yeah. I don't know if you can get through Ohio State with that number of injuries. I mean, Justice Haynes obviously hurts. This is now, by the way, going to be the fourth straight Ohio State game where Michigan has been missing an All-American. Like, think about that for a second. 22, Blake Corum tried to go and couldn't go. Didn't matter, but Blake Corum tried to go, couldn't go. 23, Zach Zinter goes out in the third quarter. All-American offensive lineman. Did it matter? No. You want him in the game, don't get me wrong, but 24, Michigan obviously missing Will Johnson and Colston Loveland. Didn't end up mattering. At some point, it's going to matter, right? And so you hope that these guys, outside of Haynes, you hope that these guys will be able to get back. I will say this on the defense. I do think that a lot of there's some consternation about Purdue being able to move the ball really well. And I do think that a lot of that has to do with your lack of depth. I mean, your linebacking core is now Ernest Hausman and some rotation of guys, right? So, and by the way, that's not a knock on those guys that are coming in. So Nathan Owusu-Boateng is a true freshman. He's going to be a really good player, very high recruit. I remember watching his commitment, was a big deal for Michigan, but he's also, I mean, he's not Jayshawn Barham. Right? He's not Jimmy Rolder. No, he of course not at this point in the year. So I think some of that inexperience, some of that youth probably contributed to a lot of that. I'll also say this, 16 points is the second lowest point total for Purdue this season. So as much consternation as there probably should be on the offensive side of the ball outside of the run game, the defense actually played really well. Purdue has played USC and Notre Dame. Michigan held them to fewer points than either of those teams did. So I'm not concerned defensively about what this looks like. I think more than anything, I'm concerned about injuries. I'm concerned about what Underwood looks like. And the last thing I'll say here, and then I'd love to get some Ohio State thoughts on this too, particularly on offense. And this applies to the defense too, where Michigan had a lot of young guys rotating in because of the injuries.
Yeah.
But on the offense, Michigan has, and I think this is an important piece to remember, 6 freshmen starting on this offense right now. Underwood, Marshall, Frazier, Guarnera, Sprague, and Marsh. So this is as much consternation as there's going to be about this offense, and I get it. You're starting a true freshman quarterback. You're starting a freshman running back, 3 freshman offensive linemen. By the way, the other freshman offensive lineman that you planned to start was out for the year. And you've got a freshman wide receiver in Andrew Marsh. And on top of that, when McCulley went out, now Jamar Browder's in. Also, Channing Goodwin is a freshman. So you've got freshmen all over the field. So for the future for Michigan, you can take a lot of confidence in that. For right now, just understand that there's going to be growing pains, and obviously that starts with the quarterback.
Yeah, you guys started reaching so far in your depth chart that I could have believed you just were making up names at that point. This game was
GPT generated names. Give me the names of some football
felt like
players.
that weird Key and Peele skit. This was a game that was just weird. I missed the very first drive because of traffic getting home from Columbus. And so I walk in and I just see Purdue punting on 4th and 10 from the 39-yard line of Michigan. And I said, but why? And I understand it. I know most people probably disagree with that, but I was going into that game going, this is a game, you've lost 6 in a row. You're without your starting running back, who's the best offensive player you got. Yeah. You're relatively into Michigan's zone.
Just go for it.
I get that it's 4th and 10. You ain't pulling off an upset being conservative.
What would Dan Campbell do?
100%.
Okay, Dan Campbell would go for it from his own 15.
James Franklin would have done an HB draw right up the gut, and that's why he's looking for a job.
R.I.P. Virginia Tech zone, James Franklin.
The second that I saw that, I knew Michigan would win, solely because Purdue already felt like they were coming out scared a little bit. Immediately after that, Purdue's second drive of the game resulted in a fumble at Michigan's 28 after being deep in Michigan's territory again. That was hats off to a phenomenal play by the Michigan defense. I mean, just a great job getting to Brown. Purdue, what was I going to say? Purdue immediately goes 3 and out after Bryce Underwood gets an interception right before half, punts it 21 yards.
Appreciated.
21 yards. I could kick that.
Could you?
100%.
Okay, we're going to have to show,
100%.
we are going to at Rival Pod on Instagram, we are going to have to shoot a video, film a reel of you punting the ball.
Take me to a football field. Let's do the Pat McAfee field goal challenge. Every time I watch that, I go, I could confidently kick that right through the upright every single time.
I do want to comment just real quick on how terrible special teams continue to be for Michigan. Like, I don't want to dive into this, but I'm watching Samaj Morgan, and it's just that clip of what would you say you do here? Like, punting is an adventure. I'd like to get off the ride. Hudson Hollenbeck is either like 75 yards or 7.
I think that's been the one thing that Michigan...
He kicked it into his protection. It's just...
I think that's the one thing Michigan and Ohio State fans can both get behind is the punt return situation.
Ohio State's has been bad too.
Brandon Ennis has caught a lot of flack, deservingly so.
Yeah.
Of his, just lack of explosiveness there.
But at least he's fielding punts because Samaj is back there and he's not. So Samaj can't catch the. And listen, I so believed in the potential of Samaj. I still do, but I'm not seeing it. So if I don't see it, you can't catch the ball and you can't field a punt. Why are you on the field?
100%.
Anyway.
And that's surprising because you've stood up for Samaj for years. He's been a guy that you've talked highly. I think even going into the preseason, you talked about him as being one of the key role players, and he has played a key role in you guys being in close games.
It's been rough. It's been really rough, and I'd rather go see. I'd rather you put. And Sharon has talked about. Well, we're gonna give him competition. Get Andrew Marsh back there. I have a hard time believing Samaj Morgan is the best punt returner on this team. Put Bryce back there.
No.
Let him catch it and run.
No.
Yeah.
You
heard me.
You would not.
You
That
heard
is
me.
Insanity.
I don't care.
This game just felt like both teams had a ton of chances to pull away and just decided to not.
Yeah.
I mean, Purdue's first 2 drives were in Michigan territory. They did nothing with it. Bryce Underwood threw an interception that was at Purdue's 5-yard line. He also fumbled it into the end zone for a touchback late in the third quarter. Yeah. And then Purdue failing a 4th and 2 near midfield. Both the right after Purdue went 3 and out and punted it 21 yards, Michigan went down and scored immediately in like 4 plays, which drastically changed what that halftime looked like.
Yep.
And then when they failed on 4th and 2 near midfield, Michigan took it over at the 50, went right down and scored. I mean, pivotal moments of the game that really swung this. And for a team like Purdue, who came in there without their best offensive player, to be in there must, as weird as it sounds, feels really good for them.
Yeah, I mean, this game, if you cheer for a favorite, whether it's Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, whoever, if you cheer for a favorite and you have a game like this, that there's a threshold, right? Like there's a line where this game goes from, this is really annoying, I can't believe it, I was supposed to flip over to the other games. There's a line where it goes from, this is really annoying to, okay, hold on to your butts. This game got to hold on to your butts level, right? This is still from River Radio Ministries. Can I say that?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like so much of the Purdue game was me just being annoyed. And then it was either late third quarter or fourth quarter. Somewhere in there's a particular drive where Purdue got the ball and started marching. And I went, this has now officially crossed the line for me from merely annoying to I am concerned.
So you legitimately, there was a point in that game where you thought this could be a game you guys blow.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember where it was at, but it's so rare for me to get to that. Like Michigan State never crossed the line. Michigan State this is so annoying. And it never got to I'm always concerned we're going to lose the game, but there's a distinct moment where it goes from, I'm concerned we're going to lose the game, but it's probably annoying to, this is an actual football game now. And Purdue got there. The bye week could not come at a better time because you can't crank out that effort. It felt almost like the vibes, purely the vibes. The vibes coming off this game reminded me of USC, just in a completely different way, where the concerns coming off USC were many. This one is mostly just focused on the quarterback. And that's 2 games in a row now where Michigan has just not played. Michigan State wasn't awful, but has just played tighter than it needed to be, and Bryce hasn't been as sharp as he needed to be.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Bryce, because after this game, and I completely agree with what you were saying, after this game, it felt like a lot of the Michigan fan base, there were 2 topics of discussion. Justice Haynes being out and what that looked like, his timetable, and the next biggest one was Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
So I want to take some time here. And I know we're over halfway point of the season right now. So I want to go and I want to evaluate. You've got a good enough sample size now with all the hype, with everything surrounding this kid coming into Michigan. How would you evaluate his season so far from a Michigan standpoint? And then at the end of it, I want you to give a grade.
Okay. So evaluate and then give a grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what I've already said really encapsulates what the season has been is early on. And again, it's a common metaphor, but I feel like it really is the best one. I likened it to starting a freshman quarterback. And I specifically was talking about heading into Norman, what that would be like, that the Oklahoma game would be kind of this roller coaster thing, right? Where you're going to, when you start a quarterback that turned 18 2 weeks before his first start, it's a completely different beast from high school ball, obviously. And so you've got a very young quarterback who's not done this at this level, obviously. And you would have these ups and then you'd have these downs. You'd have these moments of, oh my goodness, and oh my goodness. And you will have all this because you can't have just one. It's this package deal. There are exceptions to that. Right? Like there are the Trevor Lawrences, there are the CJ Strouds, right? Like you will have that. Ty Simpson's playing phenomenal. But to have a true freshman, it usually comes with those things. So there's a sense in which I'd say none of this is terribly surprising. I think what's surprising to me is that I don't feel like we've moved. I feel like moving from like the first 2 or 3 games to now, I don't know that I feel like he's taken steps forward.
Yeah. And is that concerning though?
No, it's not concerning, but I do think that it's looking at it going, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by concerning. Like, is it long-term concerning for his skill, for his development, for ceiling? No, not at all. I do think it's mildly concerning in the sense of I expected, even with that mixed bag, I expected to see more at this point. Does that make sense? Like
a little bit. Like I would probably disagree.
I don't think that there's any need to be like, oh, we're concerned about Bryce Underwood. No, but I did expect to see more development at this point, and I'm hopeful that the bye week can continue to help some of that development. Because I do think that week to week, I mean, there's a lot of growth that can happen. And when you've got that extra bye week in there, this is a great place for it to end up and to land for Michigan.
So what are you grading him overall right now with how he's played? What grade are you gonna hand Bryce Underwood?
Yeah, I'm probably going to give him a B.
Okay,
I think
it's a solid B.
I think it's a solid B because you have seen the moments, you've had the games, and I look at games like Washington. Central Michigan as well, but again, Central's just a different animal, right? But games like Central, games like Washington, where I go, yeah, you can see it. It's evident. Everybody can see it. And then you also have games like Purdue where you go, okay, that stunk. You can see it. He sees it. Everybody can see it. And so that mixed bag where you've got a young quarterback that makes young quarterback decisions. The interception was terrible. Especially because he had just missed a guy in the end zone where he had Marlon Klein. The fumble I'm not too concerned about because it's a stupider rule, and the way it had to bounce I'm not too worried about that. But the mixed bag where you see decisions that are just bad, like that's a bad throw. He looked bad against Purdue, but I've also seen him look really, really good. I'm going to give him a B. There's no panic. There's no concern outside of, yeah, I would have liked to have seen him develop a little bit better at this point. And I'm hopeful that by the time we get to the Ohio State game, we can see more of that.
Yeah, I think I'm obviously going to disagree with you a little bit here.
Well, it's not called the Agree With You podcast, so that makes sense.
I wrote down what I thought his best games were and what his poor performances were. And his best games this season statistically were against New Mexico, Central Michigan, Wisconsin, and Washington. The best one being Central Michigan. 3 of those 4 teams are not great college football teams by any means. It's start of the year, whatever. I think he kind of peaked to me in the Central Michigan game. That was where I started to look at him and I went, okay, you're really starting to see why he was brought in.
Yeah.
But I think there's other outside factors that kind of that you got to take into account. Going out there, and I don't remember at what point of the season it was. It might have even been prior to the season starting where he made the comment, nobody has seen a freshman like me. And then he comes out and he has 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the year with what? 4 games remaining? 3 games remaining for Michigan?
3 left, yeah.
You got 3 left and you've not hit double digits on touchdowns this season. And so I'm looking at this, and for his poor performances, and I'll go half on one because I don't think it was a bad game solely on him. But Oklahoma, he didn't play well. I know you strongly disagree with me on this one, but Nebraska, I don't think he played well. Michigan State, I thought he didn't play well. Not that he needed to go out there and play crazy, but statistically,
it wasn't a great game.
He didn't do anything. Purdue, not a great game. The one that I'll go and I'll go sure that I'll give that to you because I don't think it was that terrible was USC. I thought he played okay. I thought he was just kind of middle of the road. But for a guy that came in that was as hyped up as everybody hyped him up, I heard people from the Michigan side comparing him to he was going to be just on par and just as good as a Jeremiah Smith was coming in. He's going to be an immediate impact player. Him coming out there and saying nobody's ever seen a freshman like me, paying the money that you guys paid for him to come to Michigan. The bar is here whether people want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
The bar for him, regardless of his year in school, was this is going to be a guy that is going to be atop the QB rankings in the Big Ten, if not the nation. This is a guy that's going to be a Heisman caliber player and all this. And this is where you'll probably disagree with me. I don't think that I can look at a single game this season where he himself has been the difference maker. To me,
yeah, that's just ridiculous.
To me, the difference maker, even in that Washington game where he played well, was the defense and the running back room. The win against Nebraska was the running back room. You saw it this past week. The running back room time and time again has saved Bryce Underwood. I tweeted it this past weekend that Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes deserve some of that $10 to $12 million that he got to come in. This is going to sound like I'm ripping him, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. But I'm looking at this compared to the hype. And to me, if I'm measuring it that way, he has underperformed in my opinion.
Well, it depends. It entirely depends on what hype you're reading. If you're reading Twitter, yeah.
You said he was better than Arch Manning.
I think he is better than Arch Manning.
He is not even close. And you said, look at the stats. Well, let's look at the stats now.
Okay, that's like
it's the same amount.
That's
it's the same amount of time.
That's like going back to the preseason and saying you said Clemson was
you said
really
it like
good.
2 weeks ago.
And 2 weeks ago he was better than Arch.
No, absolutely not.
Arch was coming off of back-to-back overtime wins against the bottom of the SEC. Here's the thing. I'm not really like the well, you're paying him X amount of money thing is a stupid argument.
It's not though.
You
said it all last year with, well, you guys have a $20 million roster. You better go. And you're bringing in one guy that's $10 to $12 million.
Okay. That's over the course of a season. Like that's not a comparison. And worrying about what he's saying coming in, like Ohio State of all teams in the country are the last people on earth I want to hear say, well, they said this thing and then they didn't back it up.
But you use that all the time. It's the same thing. You can't have it one way.
How many times do we get to November and we have to hear about we're going to win and we're going to do that? Like the Ohio State are the kings of talking without walking. So I'm not going to sit here and listen to your freshman quarterback said he was really good coming in. I'm just not going to do that.
He did, and he hasn't been. Regardless, my grade for him, despite all of that, is a C+. Yeah.
Nobody cares what the Ohio State fans' grade for Bryce Underwood is.
Well,
no one cares.
I care deeply.
Hey, maybe you feel a little bit like Matt Rhule in Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska's catching strays on this podcast.
You know what?
Because you know what?
Pop off.
I needed Nebraska to beat USC.
No Hugh Freeze? Anything like that?
Oh, it could have been Hugh Freeze.
It could have been Hugh Freeze.
Nah, we're going to go with Matt Rhule because Matt Rhule, and here's what I'm going to say. You're like, wow, you guys are really disagreeing. Yeah, we're back on the same bandwagon here. Nebraska giving Matt Rhule an extension like that, he's going to be there through like 2032.
Yeah.
Matt Rhule is like 18-17 overall. Not against ranked 18-17.
And realistically, he's got
something
one
like
more
that.
year with Raiola.
Like, it's not, and Raiola also sucks, but Raiola is out for the year.
Yeah.
Matt Rhule is not doing great record-wise. Every year, this is the Matt Rhule's third year. Well, here we are in Matt Rhule's third year. He's got 3 losses. Good luck to you, corn people. Anyway, maybe you feel like Matt Rhule in Nebraska. Sorry, Nebraska fans are very nice. You're trying to build like a champion. You might not know how to execute it. Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of All-Americans. They're a juggernaut of the industry. They've built a dynasty of championship builders for your home, church, or business build. Go with the folks with integrity in their name at elevatedintegrity.com. Rivalry Podcast, also proud partners with our friends at Homage. Since 2007, Homage has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them. Quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. If you are watching on YouTube at Rival Pod right now, I've got nice Detroit shirt on from the folks at Homage. You can get your own, whether it's Detroit merch or Ohio State gear. They've got pop culture stuff. The link below on YouTube or in the podcast description, you can get yourself something, and it supports the podcast as well. So thanks for doing that. The Rivalry, also a proud member of the Varsity Network, powered by Learfield, the must-have app if you call yourself a college football fan. The Varsity Network has live broadcasts and on-demand podcasts just like this one. Free to download. Find the Varsity Network in the App Store and be sure to search for the Rivalry Podcast. And again, wherever you're listening right now, take a second to subscribe, rate, and review. And be sure to follow on social media at RivalPod and support the podcast at rivalpod.com.
I hope that Jim Knowles had a good return to Columbus.
He didn't. He did not.
I hope he had a great time up until about noon on Saturday. And then I was hopeful that he would have just the worst time of his life.
And he did.
And Ryan Day and Brian Hartline made sure of that. This game was just awesome. There were so many little things.
That is our official analysis.
Our recap. There were so many things, and I had people messaging me when it was 14 or whatever, 17-14 at half. Oh, are you worried? And I'm always nervous at every single point of the game until Ohio State starts to kind of pull away. Like there's always
that's a good example of halftime was this is really annoying.
I mean, I don't even know if I would go there. It was more like I am really upset because this game should not look how it looks this second. And at no point in that was I thinking Penn State's going to win this game. No. I was just thinking I really want to destroy this team as much as possible, and now you just gave them 7 points when you could have gone up 24-7 and really just shut them up early. It was just a weird thing at the beginning, but that was about the only bad part. There were so many little things throughout this game that I really loved. Julian Sayin, just a dog. I mean,
looked really good.
And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago after the Washington game. And then I thought with Minnesota, it was very intentional when he started to throw a lot of the deep balls that they were trying to get him more comfortable doing that. You saw it on full display.
Yep.
I mean, numerous times he had it at will. There were even a couple of plays. I don't remember which tight end was in the game at the time, but it was on Carnell Tate's reception that he almost scored on. I think it was coming out of half, but he had two guys right there wide open on deep balls. It just seemed like whatever Julian Sayin wanted to do, he got. And it just wasn't hard. And we ripped a little bit on Penn State, as we do, because both you and I, the one thing we can agree on is we hate the Nittany Lions.
Correct.
They should be thrilled they don't have to see us till like 2028 or whatever it is now. This was a team that going into the season was ranked number 2 in the nation. They were a lot of people's national champs. You and I had talked about this. Yep. And this isn't going to be me like completely trying to hype them up and say, we just beat this dynamic team. But despite losing Drew Aller, despite firing James Franklin, this defense was still a supposedly really good defense. They still had Katron Allen, who is a really good running back. Nick Singleton has had a bit of a down year, but he's still been a serviceable running back for them at times. This was still a talented team, despite their record. But Ohio State, I think, exposed the issue that has always plagued Penn State, and it's that mental weakness. It's the same thing that for years we've talked about with Ryan Day. And that program and the Ohio State program, where there are just some teams that they just can't seem to get over the mental hurdle. And that's what it felt like watching this game on Saturday. Julian Sayin was near perfect. He was 20 of 23. He had like just a ton of yards, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns.
More touchdowns than incompletions.
Yes.
It's pretty, like, again, from the Michigan side, it's pretty impressive.
Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith both went over 100 yards. Tate had 124 and a touchdown. Jeremiah Smith, 123, 2 touchdowns, another highlight catch that saved Julian Sayin from an interception. Just a crazy play all around. Even Bo Jackson, towards the end of the game, started to kind of piece it together. He went over 100 yards. The thing that I really liked about this is you didn't see a lot of conservative game calling from Ryan Day and Brian Hartline. This felt like a game, and I think that's why my prediction before the game was so low, is it felt like this was going to be a game where they, similar to how you saw them play Texas and Washington, they didn't feel the need to go over the top often. They were just going to kind of dink and dunk plays here and there, run the ball on short yardage, kind of boring offensive gameplay. Yeah. And you knew that you were going to be more talented and you were going to trust your defense and you'd come out on top. And that was not the case at all. I mean, they trusted Sayin through and through. He came through again. Right now, I think he's the Heisman favorite after this game.
I think so. Which I don't know if I'm going. I don't know if I'm there yet.
I don't think he'll win.
But I'll say this for Julian Sayin is because I have tried to be objective and not buy the hype. And so when people are going like, this is incredible, I'm going, I'm not like he's accurate, but I'm not seeing it. I am seeing his development and his progression and he looks really, really good. And again, he's got he's got a year of experience on, not as a starter, but he's got a year of experience on Bryce. So I'm not saying, well, he should be at this level.
Yeah, I mean,
no. But it is very different in being a redshirt freshman versus a true freshman. Those are not the same.
It is different, but garbage time minutes also.
What I'm saying though is that, but you've got a year to be in the program and the system and all that. My point being, like, I'm not saying, hey, Bryce should be at that level, but I'm saying I would like to have seen more development of Bryce at this point in the season, the way that I do think Julian Sayin has progressed.
And I think that's to see that.
That's not even detrimental to Bryce. That's just, I think, more credit to Julian.
Well, and I think you've started to see that with this offense as well. I mean, this is an offense that at times had started out kind of slow, and this game, they didn't punt. They did not punt the ball until the start of the fourth quarter. And what's funny about this is I was actually down on the field at this moment. It was 4th and 3 or 4th and 4. They were at like their own 47 or 48. And when Ryan Day sent out the punt team, the whole crowd booed, mostly because they wanted to continue to put it on Jim Knowles. But you could sense the vibe in that building, and you could sense it even from the Ohio State team on the play calling of that drive. Yeah. They knew that if they really wanted to, they could pick it up every single time. They were going to just continue to score at will. That's how confident they were in that group that they were sending out. So people were very mad that they actually ended up punting in that scenario, which tells you all you really need to know about this Penn State game. There were some really cool moments throughout this game that I wanted to highlight for those that weren't able to be there or weren't able to watch it. One of the cool moments was towards the end of the game. They actually went up on the scoreboard, and they have like a video scoreboard display, and they get up there and they show Jim Knowles in the press box, and the whole crowd just starts booing. Then they go and they cut it to Matt Patricia, and everybody's cheering. And at first it's just the crowd, which is obvious. But then they just go back and forth for a couple of minutes. I mean, it went on for a while. And about halfway through, the Ohio State side crowded around Patricia. And when Knowles went up, were actively putting thumbs downs and booing and the whole nine. And then when Patricia got there, they joined in. And I thought, man, that's awesome. But then at the end of the game, when they get done singing Carmen, Ohio, I'm walking through, grabbing pictures of players and taking some video. And I'm right near where Sonny Styles is, and Matt Patricia is there. Arvell Reese is there, and they're all hugging, they're talking, he's telling them good job. Then Edric Houston walks up and he looks at Coach Patricia and he goes, you like that tribute they did up there for you? And they just start laughing, and he goes, I can't comment on that, and just kind of walks away and laughs. It was just a phenomenal, dominant performance all around from the Buckeyes. People are going to look at that 17-14 and think it was close. The vibes in that place were the complete opposite of that. Everybody that had watched knew that Penn State hadn't been able to stop Ohio State's offense at all day long. It proved that way. I'm fully convinced if Ohio State wanted to go for it on that fourth down, they absolutely would have picked it up. But it goes to show that simple little tiny mistakes can make you sweat a little bit. This run game is a run game that we've talked about all season long as being a problem. I was very wrong about C.J. Donaldson. I said at the beginning of the season, I thought he was going to be RB1. I don't even want to see that guy touch the field. And what's funny is I was talking to one of the guys that I sit next to in the press box about this. He felt like somebody that fills that Mayan Williams role from a couple of years ago. Yep. You get him in a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 1. He's a big bruiser, put his head down kind of guy.
He's a fullback,
and he doesn't. I know he leads the team in touchdowns right now when it comes to the running back room.
That's why why you can't stat watch.
Yeah, and to me, he has just been
stats are stats,
unimpressive.
But
he has been. Stats are always stats, but he's just been unimpressive to me. And for him to have a costly mistake, which I also think was a weird error by the officiating crew.
It's one of those, it's a judgment call thing where, was forward progress probably stopped? Yes, but it's almost, and hear me, it's kind of a risk you take when you're trying to get those extra yards.
Well,
and so if it looks like you're still pushing and your line's pushing and then the ball comes out, even though it's kind of stopped, they've given you the benefit of letting you push. You've got to take the risk with that.
Well, and I think to your point, that's a coaching thing where you coach till you hear the whistle. They had not blown the whistle. So even though I think, yes, momentum had stopped, the whistle didn't blow. So the game is still alive.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to hit on this is something that I thought was really interesting. I want to shout out Tony Girdman. He's a writer for the Buckeye Huddle. He actually pulled together this stat. We talked a lot about this Ohio State defensive line. And how maybe the starters were good. The depth wasn't really there. We thought maybe they would struggle to get pressure. So he actually pulled the stat, so huge credit to him. In 2014, JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer had 52 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 7 sacks through 8 games. This season,
24 season?
This is 2024.
Okay.
So just last year. Going into this season, Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson so far this season have 50 tackles, 17.5 TFLs, and 11.5 sacks. Pretty good if you ask me. Caden Curry has been an absolute dog. Kenyatta Jackson has been an absolute dog. This team, the more and more that I get to watch them this season, the more and more that I'm starting to believe that they've got what it takes. I mean, you've seen it the past couple of weeks where Ohio State has not put up the points that I think people expect this offense to. And I've heard numerous people, I think even Joel Klatt has said this, of you're watching an Ohio State team that load management wise is going about 60%, 70% some games. And there was some stat, I don't remember who pulled it up, so I apologize to whoever it was, but they said something about by the end of the year, based off the amount of snaps the offense and that Ohio State has played, they will have played one less game than any other team in FBS football. That stuff matters when you get to the playoffs and you're trying to get legs fresh.
In this era, the ability to do that. Well, and again, you saw that with having Quinshawn and Travion last year. The way that Michigan moved in their national title year, the way Michigan moved through much of their schedule, where, you know, there were questions about, again, well, stats for J.J. McCarthy aren't very... Yeah, because he's not playing like half the game, my guy. You know, where that does make a difference. And obviously, that was still the 4-team playoff, but that does matter for later in the year.
Well, and it's not even that they're sitting those guys. It's not even that at all. It's they're playing them the full game. It's just they're not having to run as many plays to go out there. That stuff really matters.
Looking ahead here at Purdue. And thankfully, we've done a lot of this already in recapping for Michigan and previewing last week.
Yeah.
I mean... See, and I feel like I don't even know how to analyze this because it's...
Oh, I do.
Purdue is not very good, but I've also just watched a really tricky game. I don't think that Purdue offers much fight here. And I'd also say this, especially in college ball, when you do have a game where you're a big underdog and you actually are in the game late and you can't quite get it, that's an emotional thing. And while, yes, in one sense, you could take it as, well, we feel good that we were there, that can also be really draining to be like, we were right there and had a chance to get it done and we couldn't. They get the game at home.
It starts a little bit later.
Is it still Ross-Ade Stadium or whatever?
It starts at 1 o'clock. So.
It starts at 1 o'clock Eastern. Don't be thrown off by that. I mean, what? 38-10?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know what you want me to say about this. Like, Purdue's not, yes, Michigan struggled with them for 3.5 quarters. Purdue's not a good football team.
No.
They're not a good football team.
They've lost 7 in a row.
And like I said, Ohio State and Indiana are the two teams that, for me, have moved into at least right up to the line of unbeatable death machine. Your run game is still terrible, and that still would concern me if I'm Ohio State.
They had 160-something total yards this past game.
Stats are stats, but you know, anyway, I thought that there were, every team's going to have holes, but I do think that unbeatable death machine is very close for Ohio State and Indiana both. Purdue is not going to hang in this game.
No, Purdue's lost 7 in a row. After the Michigan game, they asked head coach,
not Jeff Brom.
Yeah, Barry Odom.
Thank you.
Barry Odom. They asked him kind of a status of, will we see Maccabee play again this season? And he said, no. That means, at least in my mind, you ain't seeing him this week.
Yeah.
And so they're already going to be without their best running back. You saw it against Michigan. They were kind of a running back by committee kind of group anyways.
Well, and the quarterback situation was interesting because they would swap out the passing package and the running package. I am interested, again, I don't expect Purdue to hang in this game. I'm interested to see how Ohio State handles that. But again, it's not like this is a dual threat quarterback. It's a completely different package.
Yeah.
The tell is who's in the game right now. You know?
And they're going to be playing against the best defense in the nation. I don't see a way.
Home field advantage?
No. there are games where you look at it and you go, well, if they can do this, and this, they can pull the upset. Purdue's list of things they got to do to pull off this upset is through the roof, and they need every single one of them to happen.
There's just no way that Ohio State goes to Purdue and hold on. Didn't this happen in 2018?
It did.
49-20. That's interesting. I wonder if any of those old ghosts are laying around. If there are any ghosts living in Ross-Ade Stadium, we welcome your company.
They're not. No, they will not be. They rank defensively in like the 90th in almost every single statistical category. I struggle to find a way that they are going to be able to move the ball. I feel like to pull off an upset, you're going to have to score a lot of points because even if you're able to get one on this Ohio State defense, which they won't, you're not going to stop both sides.
It sure doesn't seem that way.
No, and after watching how Carnell Tate, how Jeremiah Smith have played this year, I don't see a team in the nation that can cover both of them. And I actually think this year you've actually seen a lot more commitment to Ohio State throwing the ball and finally utilizing those Lamborghinis they got there. Not that they've underutilized them, but in the past they've had guys like Quinshon Judkins. They've had Travion Henderson that they want to give the ball to. I don't think they feel that pressure to give Bo Jackson or CJ Donaldson or even an Isaiah West. I don't think they feel the need.
Nor should they.
To give them. I think Bo Jackson should get a decent amount. But I don't think...
I mean, you got to run the ball at some point.
And I don't think Ohio State is scared to look at teams and go, yeah, our game plan is to throw it over your head. Try and keep up, buddy. And then you see teams like Penn State, who still were talked about as having this good defense, go out there, and you watch Jeremiah Smith beat two guys in quarter coverage.
I don't think anyone was still talking about Penn State having a good defense.
But I'm saying you're watching this.
Your point is taken.
And you're going, okay, Ohio State, they know their identity now. And that's scary. You're watching Julian Sayin get better and better every single week. You're starting to see this offense come into a groove. I just don't see a single scenario unless Jesus comes back that Purdue pulls this one out. I've got Ohio State 42, Purdue 6.
Yeah, you will not have to spend much time watching this game. I don't even know what network this is on.
I will be sitting in front of the TV the entire time.
Yeah, I know you will.
Loving every bit of it.
We'll see. Let's go real quick to the national scene for college football pick'em. As a reminder, Stupid Genius is part of this. This is where we unsuccessfully pick upsets every single week. Rules are simple. Must be a 5.5 point underdog. And if you get your pick right, you get whatever the spread was at time of recording for your points. You are still up 23.5 to 6.5. I'm running out of time.
I have not gotten one right since week 1. It's been a while.
All right, let's start here. Let's start at number 8. This is probably the game of the week. Number 8, BYU. At number 9, Texas Tech. You mentioned this earlier, how this will probably, 1, could be a preview of the Big 12 championship, or 2, could determine the Big 12 champion. BYU at Texas Tech. Tech is 10.5 point favorites in this one.
Man, I keep going back and forth. I think I'm going Texas Tech. That's what my gut says.
I mean, I took BYU earlier in the episode to win the Big 12, and so I will take BYU here, and I will take them as my stupid genius at 10.5. I like a lot of what BYU is doing right now. Is it Bachmeier, right? Their quarterback? I feel like he's playing really well. Texas Tech does not. Again, we're talking about unbeatable death machine level. There was a moment there early in the season where Texas Tech looked like they might be that. They do not look that way anymore. They're still a very good football team. I think BYU pulls off the upset here. And if that's Tech's second loss, now Texas Tech is in a little bit of trouble here too. Number 3, Texas A&M at number 19, Mizzou. A&M 6.5 point favorites in this one. Mizzou, this is an elimination game for them. If you want to go to the playoff, Eli, I guess you better win this football game.
I think he's going to be more concerned with where his next head coaching job is going to be at. So I am not taking Missouri in this one. I've got A&M.
Yeah, A&M, and they will cover. And I think it's unfortunate for Mizzou as well, because without Prebula there, that's just a tough
If they had him, I would be a lot more interested in this.
I just don't know if they win this game, but it's kind of like Penn State, right? Penn State was not going to win that game with Drew Aller. Whether or not James Franklin's coaching, Drew Aller being there is not going to change the outcome of that game, but it's going to make that game probably more competitive. Same thing here for Mizzou, but yeah, we can move on. I've got A&M. This is a fascinating Big Ten matchup.
I was so hopeful.
Fascinating Big Ten matchup. Number 6, Oregon at Kinnick. Now it's not at night.
No,
I believe this game's in the mid-afternoon. Oregon 6.5-point favorites here. Listen, the lore of Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, the fact that Iowa's not ranked right now is abysmal.
I know. Crazy.
That Tennessee has 3 losses and is ranked. Can you say SEC bias? Iowa and Oregon both still have chances to make the Big Ten championship game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is a Big Ten championship elimination game. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's a playoff elimination game for Oregon. It would be for Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't see a way that Iowa gets around that. Who do you have in this one? Because this is a tough call.
No, I've got Oregon. That's what my mind is telling me. I don't see how Iowa beats this team, but the vibes of a Hawkeye upset here. I really want it to happen. I want to be wrong, but I won't be.
I'll tell you right now, I'm taking Iowa.
No.
I'm taking Iowa. That's not my stupid genius because I get the point spread for BYU.
It should have been.
Here's why I'm taking Iowa. I feel like Iowa just looks like a different football team than other Iowa teams I've seen. Their defense is still good. They suddenly have an offense. They've discovered the downfield pass. Like, it's just...
Things are dangerous.
They're not... Kirk Ferentz is like, oh, it's not 1912 anymore when I started coaching. We can throw the dang football now? Yes, you can. And you're kind of good at it. Their loss to... the loss to Indiana, the way they played Indiana was so good. And look at what Indiana's done. Again, unbeatable death machine levels. They had Indiana in a dogfight to the very end of that football game. I like what Iowa's got going here. At home helps a lot. Here's a West Coast team traveling to the Midwest. Give me Iowa in this one. That's going to be a fun game. I will tell you right now, the last game we're going to pick here, the night slot on Saturday is disappointing.
I was really excited. I had no plans this weekend, and I was like, what an awesome time for me to just couch rot and watch college football.
Now, could things happen? Sure.
Yeah.
Like Navy Notre Dame?
No.
Could have been interesting, but it won't be now. Preseason Florida State Clemson could have been really interesting. Cool. The loser gets fired on the spot. That's what needs to happen.
Bags, baby.
Dabo and Mike Norvell. No, the game I want us to pick here is LSU at Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. It won't even be close.
Is there any part of you that feels like LSU has a shot in this?
No.
Correct.
No. Which feels weird to say. It feels really weird to say.
I mean, I should say there's always, listen, any given Saturday, right? And ask Miami.
If it was at LSU, sure.
Well, I don't think that matters given what A&M just did. Yeah. But I mean, ask any given Saturday. Ask Miami about playing SMU. Ask Notre Dame about playing around with Boston College on Saturday.
Crazy.
I'll say Michigan and Purdue. I mean, better to go ahead and win those football games than to end up in that situation. But yeah, I don't see a world where LSU, the vibes are very low.
Yeah.
It's called Death Valley because they're dead. Again, I don't know if I can say this. This is still a ministry. I don't know if I can say it. It works. Who's your stupid genius upset pick of the week?
It took me a while to find this one, but I think I've landed somewhere that's going to basically win me the season. I've got
You've
Stanford.
said this for 4 weeks, by the way.
It goes to show, hey, who has the lead right now?
Fair enough. Go ahead.
I've got Stanford over North Carolina. North Carolina is 9.5-point favorites right now. No real reason other than Bill Belichick's season has gone horrible, and I would love nothing more than for it to continue.
North Carolina got their first ACC win.
Congratulations.
I think they beat, I don't even know, Syracuse.
Cool.
Really? That's your pick?
That's Stanford? My pick. Stanford over North Carolina.
Well, they did beat Florida State.
9.5-point dogs.
Hey, wherever you're watching college football, make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you don't just watch your team. Make sure you hate watch your rivals as well. And while you're doing it, be sure to subscribe to the Rivalry Podcast and follow @RivalPod on social media. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media @RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.